Welcome back to the deep dive, where we, well, you know, dive deep.
Into the topics you care about.
Yeah, exactly. This time, we're going to be taking a plunge into Broadcom's latest moves.
Especially after that earnings call.
Oh, yeah.
That sent their stock soaring after hours.
Soaring, soaring. You sent over some articles and research, right?
I did.
What caught your eye?
Well, maybe their, aggressive push into AI.
Okay, yeah.
Or how a company known for, chips suddenly became an AI heavyweight.
Yeah. It's an interesting story. What's fascinating is that Broadcom is, like, playing different game here.
Right.
They're not building the flashy AI apps. They're creating the backbone.
The essential infrastructure.
Yeah.
That powers it all.
That powers it all,
And
yeah.
we're talking custom AI chips, high-speed
The
networking,
nuts and bolts.
the nuts and bolts that make AI work.
Okay, so before we get into the AI craze, let's start with the basics. What were the headline numbers from Broadcom's earnings announcement?
So they actually beat analysts' expectations for earnings per share,
Okay.
clocking in at $1.42 versus the predicted $1.39.
Not bad. But didn't they miss on revenue?
Slightly, yes.
Okay.
Revenue hit $14.1 billion.
Wow.
A hefty 51% jump year over year,
Okay.
but just shy of the $14.07 billion forecast.
So earnings beat, revenue miss, but the stock still takes off after hours. Something's not adding up.
Exactly. And that something is their AI revenue.
Okay.
It's exploding, growing over 200% year over year.
Hold on, 200%. That's insane. Let's unpack this AI growth. Like, what did Broadcom's CEO, Hock Tan, say about their strategy?
So Tan was clear.
Right.
Broadcom's future is AI.
Okay.
They're betting big on this sector,
Right.
outpacing all their other businesses.
So it's not just a side hustle, it's their main event. Now, when we talk about AI products, are we talking about Broadcom developing their own, like, splashy AI apps?
Not at all.
Okay.
Remember, they're focused on the infrastructure, the less glamorous but crucial stuff behind the scenes.
Okay, so they're not building the self-driving car. They're building the brains and nervous system that make it go.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And they're not doing this in a vacuum. They're working directly with three major hyperscalers,
Okay.
the giants running those massive data centers,
Okay.
to design custom AI chips.
Hyperscalers. Now, one name pops into my mind. Apple. There were rumors Broadcom's helping them build a custom server processor for AI. Any truth to that?
So Broadcom hasn't confirmed anything specific, and
Okay.
Apple isn't typically lumped in with hyperscalers like, Amazon or Google.
Right.
But given Broadcom's expertise
Yeah.
and Apple's AI ambitions, it wouldn't be surprising.
It makes you wonder what they're cooking up over there. Anyway, back to these custom AI chips. How is Broadcom approaching their development? Are they just mass-producing generic chips?
It's far more collaborative. They're working shoulder to shoulder with these hyperscalers, crafting unique solutions
Okay.
tailored to each company's specific AI needs.
So it's less about being a chip supplier and more about becoming a strategic partner.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the results speak for themselves. Broadcom's AI revenue for fiscal year 2024 reached a staggering $12.2 billion,
Whoa.
a 220% jump from the previous year.
Wow. To put that in perspective, how did their non-AI semiconductor business perform?
Their non-AI chip revenue actually declined 23% year over year in Q4,
Okay.
landing at $4.5 billion.
Right.
So while one part of their business is facing headwinds, the AI surge is more than compensating.
It's clear Broadcom is placing a massive bet on the future of AI. But is this growth sustainable, or is it just a temporary spike in demand?
Hock Tan, Broadcom CEO, predicts the market for AI chips and networking will hit a whopping $60 billion to $90 billion
Wow.
by 2027.
Okay.
That's not a blip, that's a seismic shift.
So they see this AI boom lasting for years. Where do they picture themselves in this future landscape?
So Tan believes that by 2027,
Yeah.
each of those three hyperscalers they're working with will deploy over 1 million of these custom AI chips,
Wow.
all connected through a massive network. That's the scale they're preparing for.
It's mind-boggling. While other companies chase the flashy AI apps, Broadcom's quietly building the foundation, the picks and shovels of the AI gold rush.
And they're getting their share of the gold. This strategic move has huge implications for the entire tech world.
So what does all this mean for, someone like me, interested in tech's future, but not a Wall Street expert.
It tells you AI is not a buzzword. It's rewriting the rules of how technology is developed and used.
And Broadcom is right there in the thick of it.
More than that, they're shaping the future of AI in ways many people don't realize.
They're focusing on the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah,
The engine that makes the magic happen.
exactly. And they're not afraid to make bold moves like their acquisition of VMware
Right.
to position themselves strategically.
Speaking of VMware, their success with that acquisition is fascinating. They achieved a 70% operating margin after integrating the company,
Yep.
showing they can make acquisitions work. Now they're laser-focused on paying down debt.
This raises an interesting question. Does this signal a shift away from acquisitions and toward organic growth within AI?
It's hard to say for sure, but we do know they haven't ruled out further acquisitions. They're clearly still on the lookout for opportunities to expand their portfolio and cement their position in the tech landscape.
What's remarkable is how Broadcom is proving that being at the core of AI innovation, building the essential infrastructure can be just as profitable, if not more so, than focusing on the applications.
It's like they're saying, we'll build the foundation and you can build your empires on top of it.
And they're reaping the rewards. But it's not just about profits. This strategic move has broader implications for the entire tech landscape.
Okay, so let's connect this back to our listener. What does this all mean for someone trying to understand where the tech world is heading?
It means Broadcom is a company to watch. They're a bellwether for the AI revolution.
And speaking of revolution, their stock price jumped over 15% after their earnings call. That's a pretty revolutionary jump. What were analysts most interested in during that call?
So they were digging into Broadcom's engagements with those hyperscale customers
Yeah.
and the potential for even more growth in the AI networking space.
Makes sense. Everyone wants to know how big this AI wave is going to get.
And Broadcom is dropping some serious hints. They're predicting each of those hyperscalers will be deploying over 1 million AI chips by 2027.
1 million chips per customer. That's a whole new level of computing power.
Exactly. And that's why Broadcom is pouring resources into developing the next generation of AI chips
Okay.
using cutting-edge 3-nanometer technology.
So they're not just keeping up, they're pushing the boundaries.
Yes, and that's another reason why investors are so excited about Broadcom. They see a company that is not just riding the AI wave, but building the infrastructure for a bigger, faster wave to come.
It's like they're not just selling surfboards, they're creating bigger, faster waves for everyone to ride.
It's like they're not just selling surfboards, they're creating bigger, faster waves for everyone to ride.
What else stood out to you from the earnings call? Anything that surprised you?
Their emphasis on financial discipline really caught my attention.
Yeah.
Despite the massive growth in AI,
Yeah.
they're focused on paying down debt and managing their inventory carefully.
So they're not letting the hype go to their heads.
Right.
They're staying grounded.
Exactly. It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
Aggressive growth in AI coupled with responsible
Right.
financial management.
It's a winning combination for investors.
It is.
Yeah, it's a smart play. It's like they're saying, we're going to win this race, but we're going to win it responsibly.
And that message resonates
Yeah.
with investors looking for long-term,
Right.
sustainable growth.
Absolutely.
Broadcom's commitment to returning cash to shareholders through dividends is another big plus.
That's always a good indicator.
Yeah.
It shows confidence in their ability to generate consistent profits. They're putting their money where their mouth is.
Precisely. And they're not just talking about it.
Right.
They just announced an 11% increase in their quarterly dividend for the next fiscal year.
Sharing the wealth with their investors, that's great to see. But let's be realistic. No investment is without risk.
Yeah.
What are some potential challenges or uncertainties Broadcom might face down the road?
The inherent volatility of the semiconductor market is a big one.
Okay.
It's a cyclical industry prone to booms and busts.
So they're not immune to economic downturns.
No company is.
Right.
And then there's the constant pressure of competition,
Oh, yeah.
especially in a fast-moving field like AI.
They've got to stay ahead of the curve.
Oh.
What about those 2 new hyperscaler customers they mentioned? What impact could
Well.
those partnerships have?
So those new partnerships could significantly expand their AI revenue beyond the $60 to $90 billion market
Wow.
they're already targeting.
So the potential upside is huge,
Hmm.
but there's still a lot we don't know. When will those partnerships start generating revenue? How big will the impact be?
It's too early to tell. Broadcom is still in the early stages of development with these new customers.
So we'll have to wait and see how those partnerships play out. But
Oh.
one thing's for sure, Broadcom isn't sitting still. They're constantly innovating and expanding their reach in the AI world.
And that's what makes them
Yeah.
such a compelling company to follow.
Right.
Their ability to adapt and thrive in this rapidly changing technological landscape is remarkable. They've successfully pivoted from legacy businesses
Yeah.
to a major player in the AI arena.
And they've done it by strategically focusing on the essential building blocks of AI instead of chasing fleeting trends.
Exactly. They're playing the long game, their financial discipline, commitment to shareholder returns,
Right.
and willingness to make bold moves like acquiring VMware
Uh-huh.
all point to their ambition and ability to stay ahead of the curve.
It seems like they have a knack for spotting and capitalizing on opportunities that others miss.
Yes, and that's what makes their story so interesting. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Broadcom,
Yeah.
what's the key takeaway for our listener?
Yeah. What should they be considering as they continue to explore this company and its role in the future of AI?
We've covered a lot of ground today, from their impressive financial performance
Yeah.
to their strategic focus on AI infrastructure.
Yeah.
We've also talked about the potential risks
Right.
and uncertainties they face.
It all boils down to this. Is Broadcom simply riding the AI wave, or are they becoming the wave itself?
That's the question.
That's the question our listener needs to ponder.
We've provided the essential insights, the key data points,
Right.
and the expert analysis. Now it's up to them to decide.
And that wraps up our deep dive on Broadcom. We'll continue to keep an eye on their progress in the AI space. And in the meantime, we encourage you to keep diving deeper into the information that matters most to you until next time. It's like they're asking, do you want to bet on the gold rush, or do you want to be the one selling the shovels?
Right, and then they seem to be doing a pretty good job of selling those shovels. But it's not just about the immediate gains, is it? This strategy seems to be about positioning themselves for the long haul.
Exactly. They're betting on AI, not just as a trend, but as a fundamental shift in how technology works.
And by focusing on the infrastructure there, they're essentially making themselves indispensable.
Yeah.
No matter who wins the AI race, they'll need the tools that Broadcom provides.
It's a smart move, especially in such a fast-moving field.
Hmm.
You don't have to pick the winning app. You just have to make sure everyone needs your hardware.
Think about it this way. If AI is the engine of the future, Broadcom is building the fuel lines and the engine block.
Yeah. Now, we've talked about the potential upside, but what about the flip side? What are the risks involved in this strategy?
Of course, no strategy is foolproof.
Right.
One risk is that they could misread the market.
Okay.
Maybe their bet on these specific hyperscalers doesn't pay off, or maybe a new technology comes along that renders their chips obsolete.
That's always a possibility in the tech world. You're constantly betting on the future.
Another risk is that they become too reliant on a handful of major customers.
Okay.
What happens if one of those hyperscalers decides to go in-house or partners with a competitor?
That's a good point. Their success is very tied to these partnerships.
And then there's the execution risk.
Yeah.
Can they keep up with the pace of innovation in AI? Can they attract and retain the talent they need to stay ahead of the curve?
These are all valid concerns, but from what we've seen, Broadcom seems to have a pretty good track record.
Yeah,
So far, they've managed to adapt and overcome challenges.
they've certainly shown a willingness to evolve and make bold moves,
Yeah.
like acquiring VMware and pivoting to AI.
Then let's not forget, their financial discipline gives them a cushion to navigate any bumps in the road. They're not just spending recklessly, they're managing their resources carefully.
Right, they're striking a balance between ambition and prudence.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to our listener. What should they take away from all this?
Well, I think the key takeaway is that Broadcom is a company at a crossroads. They're betting big on AI, and so far, that bet seems to be paying off.
But the real test is still to come. The next few years will be crucial in determining whether they can truly become the infrastructure giants of the AI era.
And for our listener, the question is, do you believe in Broadcom's vision?
Yeah.
Do you see them as a leader in the future of AI?
We've provided the information. It's up to you to decide.
And that's a wrap for our deep dive into Broadcom. We hope this has given you a clearer picture of their strategy, their potential, and the risks involved.
Remember, the best investments are informed investments. So keep digging, keep asking questions, and keep exploring the information that matters to you.
Until next time, keep diving deeper.